Hello and welcome back to Aubrey Books and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me as we wrap up all of the November reads. So November was busy. I'm sure it was for all of you as well, with Thanksgiving and, fall, things you want to do like pumpkin patches and just all the good things. And of course, as we spiral into Christmas time, it gets even crazier. But thanks for bearing with me and joining me. I want to tell you the 20 books I was able to read and what I thought. Starting off, I attempted to read Why I Read. Now, this was a nonfiction choice with Kim from Whimsical Narratives. And once again, we strike out on the nonfiction. Love her fiction choices, not loving the nonfiction choices. But again, I'm not a huge nonfiction girly, so maybe that's part of the problem there. I just found the author's voice in this, and keep in mind, I only got to like chapter 3, but I DNF'd it pretty quick because I found her to be kind of pretentious, and in the first couple of chapters, she literally spoils the big twists and endings to several books and movies, and it's like, that's not cool. That's just not cool. So there were actually a few of us in her book club that ended up DNFing this just because of that alone. So I'm not going to say it's not worth reading since I didn't even get to my traditional 100 pages before quitting. It just definitely wasn't for me. Then the next one I read was Daughter of the Siren Queen. Now, this was the book club pick for my book club, and we had a blast with this one. And in fact, most of us liked it better than the first one, The Daughter of the Pirate King. So even if you were meh on that one, pick this one up because it was a lot of fun, and I gave it 4 stars, and I can't wait to continue this series. Then I finished Betrayed. Now this I gave a 3-star. It was good, and it was very angsty. It was written quite a while ago, so some stuff doesn't hold up like, it probably did when it was published. But if you're going for just like a popcorny kind of good time, this is definitely one I would recommend picking up. It's very academia, it's witches, it's werewolves, it's vampires. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoyed this second book. Then I read Hunting Prince Dracula. Now this I gave a 4-star because Kim threatened me. She said if I didn't give this a 4-star, she'd be upset. But no, in all seriousness, it was good. I liked it a lot better than Stalking Jack the Ripper. So if you read that one and you were again kind of meh, I say give this one a try. There's a lot more that goes on with the relationship between the two characters, and I don't know, it just felt like there was more edge of your seat moments, and there was an actual moment where I was holding my breath the whole time they were inside of this, we'll just say chamber-like area. So I recommend picking it up. It was a good time. Then I finished Obsidio. This, of course, I gave a 5-star to. I have loved the Illuminae series. This one did not disappoint. It wrapped up beautifully. It gave me all the feels at the end and wrapped up the things I had been wondering about. They did a marvelous job, and I cannot sing the praises highly enough of this series. Then I read the Daydreams. Now this I gave a 4-star. I know, I was kind of surprised because how many books are out there that deal with, movie stars, which a lot of the references they make you think of the Disney Club kids, like Christina Aguilera and all the rest of them that came up. It gave me those kind of vibes, but it was really good. There were a lot of heartfelt moments where they were having to dig real deep and realize that their actions have consequences, even long-term with relationships and what ends up making people's lives spiral out of control. So I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. Then I read House of Salt and Sorrow. Now, this was the first in this series. I gave it a 3-star. It was good. But it left me with so many questions and things I was still confused about that I'm betting as I go in further of this series, I'll even like it more. But for now, I'm giving it a 3-star, and I still would recommend reading it, though. It was very good. It felt very creepy. It gave me house next to a stormy sea and dark forest kind of vibes, and you really felt bad for these girls. Oh my gosh. So grateful I'm born in the era that I was born in and not in those kinds of days, but I highly recommend it. Then I read Foxglove. Now, this I gave a 4-star. It is the sequel to Belladonna. It did not disappoint. I enjoyed seeing what continues to happen with them. I don't want to give away anything. Suffice to say, what happened in book 1 definitely gets talked about in book 2. So you do not want to start this one without going to book 1. And I don't just mean at the end. I mean like the events that led to that ending in book 1 are heavily discussed in book 2, and you start to see some things come out that I didn't see coming, and I can't wait for the next installment. Then I read Iron Flame. Now, don't be mad. Don't shut off your TV and don't throw things at me. Least of all because you don't want to damage your TV or phone. But I gave it a 4-star. I know. I'm sorry. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the ride. It was a much slower pace than Fourth Wing was. And while it had a lot of the same characters, some we didn't see as often, and maybe that's what took it away for me a little. I don't know. It felt like the curse of the second book where it's trying to build something up. That being said, the rumor mill says it's not a trilogy, that it's going to be like 5 books in this series. So hold on to your hats and let's just see where this ride takes us. I'm definitely continuing this series. I just will probably be giving 3 and 4 stars out until we get to the end is my thought. Then I finished 40 Words for Love. Now, this I gave a 3-star. It was super cute. It has some magical elements. I was a little confused. I felt like it didn't get fully fleshed out. That's why it got a 3-star. A full review of that is in the Once Upon a Book Club September review. You'll have to go and check that out. Shameless plug. Then I finished A Curse for True Love. Now, this I gave a 4-star. I love it. They wrapped it up so well. This is the prequel, of course, to the whole Caraval series, and it was really good. We got to finally see what was going on with Jax. We got to finally see what was going on with their relationship, and the huge cliffhanger they gave us in book 2 gets resolved in book 3, and you start to see why things were the way they were, and it makes sense by the end. Even if they weren't the way I would have done things in this world, I can accept it. And so I highly recommend you guys pick up, now that it's fulfilled and there's no more books outstanding to leave you on cliffhangers, please pick this up. It is worth reading. Stick with it. Sometimes it'll be confusing, but they do explain everything by the 3rd book. Then I read Clown in a Cornfield 2. Now, this I gave a 3-star. You know I was not excited to pick up a horror book after 31 days of horror, but it was good. It was just as good as the first one. There's still slasher moments. There's a totally different theme for what's going on and why compared to the first one. So don't think it's going to be just a repeat. It's not. But you do kind of see what happened to some of the characters in book 1 that never seemed to get punished for what went down. You'll get to see that in book 2. Stay tuned and make sure you read it. Then I finished Throne of the Fallen. This I gave 4 stars. I didn't know what to expect going into this. I loved Kingdom of the Wicked series so much. We do see Envy, so one of the gods. I don't want to go into too many details because that'll ruin some of Kingdom of the Wicked. So it's nice to see the brother, and it's nice that you heard a little bit about in that first series, and it's nice to see him reference what's going on and what had happened in the those first 3 books. So make sure you've read them, otherwise things will get spoiled. But it was enough of a difference in characters that I just didn't like it as much as I liked the initial trilogy. So I still say it's worth reading. It's a chunker of a book, so make sure you invest time into this, but I think it's worth reading. I think it's a fun ride. Just don't expect it to be the same level as that first trilogy. Just accept it as going into this world, and I think you'll enjoy it. Then I finished Lore Olympus Volume 5. I gave this 5 stars. Of course I did. I love these books. I cannot stress enough. The artwork, I don't know why, because some of the images look like they're not even finished being filled in with color, but there's just something about it that just feels textural and beautiful, and I just love it. And then the story itself has an air of innocence, and who would have thought Hades would have innocence about him? But he does when he's around Persephone, and it is just the sweetest relationship, and I absolutely adore these books, and the latest installment did not let me down. Then I finished reading Dragon Haven. I gave it a 4-star. It was good. It was slow in places. This is the second book now in the Rain Wild trilogy. I I don't know. I both liked and disliked it more than the first book. And I'm trying to think of a way to say this without spoiling anything. You get more of the dragon's personality in this book. You get more background in the dragon mythos and how dragon keepers are created and things like that. And you get more of these characters that are along the ride with the dragons fleshed out. And I really enjoyed that aspect a lot. I wasn't crazy about some of the stuff that went down and the way it went down and some losses that we suffered. I thought, I don't know, for me, it felt kind of like when one of your characters you really like are written off screen. And I don't know. I guess I wanted to see more of these characters interacting with these things that maybe eventually take them down. I don't know. I don't know how to word it again without giving away things, but there were some very traumatic moments happening in the book to these characters, and that stuff I didn't like. But that being said, one thing that happened in book 1 that made me really upset and sad is resolved in book 2 in a very surprising way. Not what I thought was going to happen. I thought for sure, I'll just say it as generically as possible, the guy that did the thing to the dragon, I thought for sure he was going to get killed, he was going to get punished, something. But no, not only does that not happen, but a very interesting relationship happens. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I, again, don't want things spoiled. If you know, you know. But I really enjoyed this one a lot. I'm glad I'm reading through the Robin Hobb world. It's been a blast. Next, I read Words of Radiance. This I gave a 4-star. I really loved the very first one. So this is the sequel in the Stormlight Archive trilogy. And The Way of Kings was the first book. I didn't like it as much as The Way of Kings. But again, the second book a lot of times falls into the curse of the second book for me because they have to set stuff up for that third and final book. You know, they just do. They have to set things in motion. This had a lot of politics in it, and that's never been my favorite thing to read. But I will say, Shallan is one of my favorite characters. I love her so much. I know she's not everybody's cup of tea, but I adore her, and she really came into her own in this book, and I so enjoyed seeing that. And that's why I got a 4-star and not a 3-star. If Shallan hadn't been in this book, I probably would have 3-starred it, to be honest. But I say stick it out. It's worth it. Just keep in mind it's like 1,300 pages, so it'll take you a minute to read it. Then I finished Convergence. I gave this one a 3-star. These new Star Wars books are written a little more faster paced than some of the older ones, which I appreciate. But again, they don't have the characters that I've known and loved for years. So for me, it's a little bittersweet. And I have to keep reminding myself this wasn't my generations of Star Wars. It's this generations of Star Wars. And just kind of accept it for the ride that it is. And I'm hoping the next book will be even better. Then I finished Serpent and the Wings of Night. I have not read any of Carissa Broadbent before. This has been highly recommended by several people in BookTube communities, and I'm sure you've already read several of her backlog. I hadn't read anything. I was told to start with this. I'm glad they said that. So I'm saying the same to you. Start with this one. It is so good. That being said, I gave it a 5-star, obviously, but it's not to the level of love I have for Sarah J. Maas or Jennifer Armentrout. I will say that the ACOTAR series, I think, would blow anything away. It set a very high bar. But this was so fun and it was so good. And I really enjoyed it. Things that have to do with, you know, the orphan who's taken in and she's not as strong or gifted as those around her. So she goes to a trial to try to gain the power. And along the way, befriends an enemy who does a slow burn. And it was so good, you guys. I really enjoyed it. The very end, though, because of course this is a duology, the ending of this book, though, made me go, what the pafargle just happened? And again, if you know, you know. So make sure that if you read this, you have the second one handy, because I don't, and I am dying to know what is going to happen from here. Then I read a couple of NetGalleys. So this is my section for NetGalley in case they ever want to view it and skip forward. And for NetGalley, I finished Heart Song. I gave this a 5-star. Oh my gosh, you guys. I love this series so much. Now, keep in mind, it's not for children, okay? So there's a lot of spice. Make sure that you know that going into it. But the way everything's handled is actually very sweet. It's just extremely descriptive about those spicy scenes. But everything else is very sweet, very innocent feeling, and you have battles and you've got family. It's It's huge on family. So I loved this next installment. I can't wait to read Brother Song. And again, I shout out a thank you to Sam from Yarn Reader for recommending the very first one. Then I finished The Mystery Guest. This is a sequel to The Maid. And if you remember from before when I reviewed it, I loved The Maid. I really felt and understood how, Molly was going through the world and kind of like an OCD tendency, didn't quite fit in, had some social awkwardness. I can totally relate to that. And so I love seeing a main character have these little quirks. This I did give a high rating because not only do we have Molly again, not only do we have several of the characters from before again, but this is even more of a murder mystery. And so I really enjoyed that Nita Prose just really dove into this and just open-armed it and embraced this new genre that she's doing. And I just loved it so much, you guys. It was so good. Now, as far as the Nesta Archeron Stair Challenge, I finished, you guys. I have hit the 10,000 steps. I am like Nesta, down the stairs and out to the pub. I have earned it. And then as far as the Lord of the Rings challenge, though, I still have 286 miles to go. So I'm going to still be hoofing it because I only have 1 month left. So thank you guys for being here. Please like, subscribe, send your friends, and I will see you in December.